Hey, let's call this one the statement of the century. Alabama, the 9 seed. Indiana, the 1 seed. In rainy Pasadena, the rain stopped. Early second quarter, there's a big moment. Bama down 3-0, Harry, in their own territory, their own 34, going for it on the 4th and 1, and they're stuffed.
Greeny, I spoke about the linebackers of Indiana yesterday. Isaiah Jones, great job shedding a blocker, making this tackle, and then the rest of the cavalry coming to get that 4th down stop, turnover on down.
Really interesting decision by Kalen DeBoer early, and he pays for it because on the ensuing drive, 3rd and 8, look at this catch from Charlie Becker.
You can try to play cover 0 if you want to. 8 for 8, 161 yards, 3 touchdowns versus the blitz. Charlie Becker has showed up big in the last 2 ball games for Indiana as well.
They're up 10-0. Mendoza loves it, and he was just getting started. Late in the half, Alabama 3rd and 7. This turns out to be a monumental play for a variety of reasons. He scrambles for the first down, but then boom, loses the football, and then boom, takes the shot to the side that winds up leaving him with a cracked rib that would ultimately force him from this game. That one forces the fumble. That one causes the injury. So a devastating 1-2 punch there for the tie. In the meantime, Indiana is able to take over. They capitalize. 20 seconds left. Omar Cooper.
Yeah, great job by Fernando Mendoza with the ball fake, getting all the guys to draw up, thinking it's going to be run. Touchdown to Omar Cooper Jr.
17-0. The game was in danger of getting completely away, and then it did exactly that.
Yeah, 3rd and 1. They're going to sell out for the run. Going to play man coverage on the outside. It's a slant and go sluggo. Fernando Mendoza, ball placement is everything. Touchdown, Elijah Surratt.
He was perfect. Ty Simpson had to come out of the game. Don't know that it would have made any difference at all. This is Kalon Black getting loose. He had 99 yards. Indiana up 31-3. 4th quarter, 18-yard line. Oh, my goodness. Roman putting the him in Himby. Indiana goes on to win it 38-3. As decisive as it could possibly be. They will play Oregon in the semifinals. Afterwards, here's their coach with Reese Davis.
How would you describe the turnaround and what you've been able to build in a short period of time?
It'd be a hell of a movie. There's been a lot of firsts. It is kind of surreal. There's no doubt about it. I understand why there's been a lot of skeptics, but I only have one thing to say. Hoosiers!
If you don't love that guy, then I'm not sure exactly what it is you're not paying attention to. We got Paul Finebaum joining the conversation for the first time this morning. We'll have so many people in here all morning long. I set aside a lot of time to do this game. We can do justice to both sides of it because I think both sides are equally interesting. But Josh, I'll start with you because there's an interesting dynamic that was at play here. Indiana was the #1 team in this game, not Alabama. Indiana had the best season in the country, not Alabama. Indiana was a 7-point favorite, not Alabama. And yet, I feel like there is a sentiment that this was the game that validated somehow, even though Indiana probably beat better teams along the way, this one gave them a validation that perhaps some people did not previously give them. Is that a reasonable way to sort of sum up the way you think people feel? And is it the right way to feel?
Yeah, I'm people. You're describing me because I came on here yesterday. Not only did I pick Alabama, I didn't do it looking down at the keyboard or up at the ceiling. I looked you right in the face, ignorantly and emphatically, and said, yeah, I think Alabama's going to win the game. So, I mean, I hid under this carpet next to me for the latter part of the second half yesterday. So I can speak for myself. Yes, I needed to see that because like Kurt Cignetti said, I understand why they're skeptics. I hope he means that. It makes me feel better this morning. But he said, I understand why they're skeptics. And I think maybe there's not a skepticism about the quality of team Indiana has. That wasn't what I was skeptical about. It's still that we're going through this book of firsts with them. And so the next page in that book was now that everyone expects you to win, and now that you got to do the whole take time off thing, and now you got to face a team that's playing for its life, and it does know how to win. It's been there before in Alabama. Can you do all that? And then you find yourself at halftime saying, wow, this isn't close. And on the scoreboard, it just ended up getting further and further and further away. I mean, we'll talk about the Alabama piece in a second, but the Indiana piece of this is just, there's still this newness. There's still this sense that you put the Jell-O in the fridge 5 minutes ago, and it's slowly congealing, but it's a new world on multiple fronts. This is the biggest front, and this is one now where you've got Indiana doing everything that the team over there with the A on its helmet would have done a generation ago.
That's exactly right. Paul, a lot of people, and Cignetti is one of many, former Nick Saban assistants that we're seeing in this tournament. A lot of people saying that he reminds them of a young Nick Saban.
Well, he does. And Greeny, if you just walked in from lunch yesterday and watched this game, you thought the team that was beating down Alabama was Alabama under Nick Saban. I realized the uniform was similar, but they played just like a Nick Saban team. They beat you to death and made you give up, and that's what happened. And that's why everybody in Alabama this morning is besides themselves, because their team looks soft, their coach looks soft, and their program looks soft. And that is unprecedented territory for Alabama. Yeah, there have been bad losses in recent history. Nick Saban lost by 28 once in a national championship game with Tua Tagovailoa. Of course, he's lost a lot of games like that, Tua has. But ultimately, he'd also haven't had a number of championships in his back pocket. Kalen DeBoer doesn't have anything in his back pocket right now except ill will from the Alabama fan base. And I thought that all changed 10 days ago when we were in Norman, but it has not. It has actually gotten worse, Greeny.
I can't even fathom. I very rarely promote things I'm not involved in. I cannot even fathom what Paul Finebaum's show is going to sound like today. That is certainly recommended listening for everyone. Now, there are a lot of angles in this game. And I've got two quarterbacks on my panel here, so let's go to that. Jordan Rodgers, 2 words, Fernando Mendoza. Go.
Greeny, I sat on here really the last month or so, and every time we've talked about Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore, I've said, look, I lean towards Dante Moore. I think he's got bigger upside. That changed yesterday. Watching this game for Fernando Mendoza, he was surgical. And there's one thing that's a non-negotiable at the NFL. You have to be able to be accurate, especially downfield, under pressure. And Alabama threw everything they had at Fernando Mendoza, and he didn't flinch. Look at these numbers. Alabama blitzed on 52% of Fernando's dropbacks. That is the most in any game since ESPN started recording blitzing as a stat. And Fernando Mendoza was 8 for 8 for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns against the blitz. He absolutely locked up the #1 pick yesterday because of that performance. Even made a few plays with his legs. That kid can step on an NFL field and play. He made me a believer out of me. And again, I've been on here saying Dante Moore's got better upside, got a little more mobility. I don't care. Fernando Mendoza is a dog, and he showed it yesterday.
Yeah, Field Yates, EJ, texted me while the game was going on, the Raiders should turn in the card right now. That's how good Mendoza was. Again, through a quarterback's eyes, EJ, what did you see?
Yeah, I loved how Fernando played. His decisiveness was really impressive. But here's the other thing, guys, and I wanted this to be in context. Fernando had a lot of things go into his direction for the positive. You look at the offensive line, the way they blocked, that was great. You had some 7-man protections where Alabama had no shot to make a pass rush. Now, then you see throws like this to his right, about 30 yards on a line down the field to Omar Cooper Jr. So, look, I still lean more Dante Moore. I was actually at the Orange Bowl. I saw him, make some throws under duress. I think he kind of transcends a bit more to the NFL, a bit quicker than Fernando, because Fernando, to me, guys, still might need some things around him to go really well. And keep this in mind, there's 3 NFL receivers that are catching balls for Fernando as well. Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper Jr., Charlie Becker. So, again, not hating on Fernando, but I still lean Dante Moore just a tad more.
For what it's worth, they will be on the field together again next Friday. These teams have already played each other, and they will play each other again in the national semifinal. Indiana, Oregon, that will be next Friday night's game. Let me hold this thought here because I want to save plenty of time for the Alabama side of it. Indiana, to the victors go the spoils. We've given them that. How about the fallout from Alabama's Rose Bowl debacle? What does it mean for the coach? What does it